For those of you who are new to the full episode, welcome. This is a universal edit, so it will be all of the platforms will get all of the same news. Unlike normally where we do a shorter version for the syndicated platforms and the full version for the generally nerdy platforms. So hello nerds, welcome to a quickie episode of the news before I go on vacation. Today's episode is mostly going to be follow-ups, and then we have quite a few rumors to get out of the way, so let's get right into it. Housekeeping real quick, just like I said, we are going to be taking approximately 3 to 4 weeks off. I'm going to be gone for about 3 weeks, so I won't physically be able to make the episodes, and then it kind of depends on how I land when I get back, where things line up and all that stuff. So there will still be releases on the channel. We will still be doing, we have a couple of interviews to release from Starfest. We also have some reaction videos to do while I'm gone as well. So there will still be content, so definitely don't forget to subscribe and like and all the things, just so that the YouTube algorithm reminds you when new videos are posted. That's, I believe, all of the housekeeping. We're also this week not going to be doing a shout out and viewer mail video because just time crunch is not conducive to such things. So over on the Clips channel, there will be no shout out video. So yeah. News time, I suppose. So into music news is where we go first, and for those of you who are new to the full episode, welcome. This is a universal edit, so it will be all of the platforms will get all of the same news. Unlike normally where we do a shorter version for the syndicated platforms and the full version for the generally nerdy platforms. So music, sorry. Metallica is our first piece. Master of Puppets, the song is back on the charts. It's on Spotify's top 48, or top 50 rather. It is number 48 on Spotify's top 50, and it's absolutely exactly what you guessed. It is the song that's in Stranger Things, and so of course people are listening to it en masse, which is really interesting because it's like a 7-minute song, and that's not exactly what you think of when you think of modern popular music. So congratulations to the guys in Metallica. Those Duffers really did them. Like, that's the funniest thing to me is Metallica is like the biggest metal band ever, and somehow the Duffers even boosted them. Like, that's just such a weird concept in my brain. But that's all we have on that one. Let's move over next to a festival that has been dead for some time. Metalfest out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is coming back, and it's very noteworthy because Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed is the one who bought the rights to the name and is going to be putting on the festival. It's also super noteworthy because the origin of the idea for doing this comes from a recent interview that Jamie did with Trevor Strnad from the Black Dahlia shortly before his passing. They talked about what it would take to do to bring back Metalfest, and that they were going to curate it together. And after he passed, Jamie said, I still think this is something I need to do, and it's kind of an honor to my brother in the Black Dahlia murder now that he's gone. So pretty awesome. It will be back in 2023. There is not a 2022 date for it, obviously, since this is just happening. So as we get closer to the date, as the date is announced and all of the bands and such that are going to be on the bill, we will definitely be talking about that one going forward. Those are the only big things. Obviously, we're shortening everything for this episode, but Carlos Santana, there's a big news piece around him in failing health, it would seem. We're going to get into that when we get back. There's a bunch of other music stuff that we have to touch on, but I didn't have the time, and this is a quickie update. So that is what we have for regular news. Let's get to the music suggestion for this week and going forward. Please go listen to not just the song, but the entire album of Master of Puppets, released in 1986. This is one of the metal masterpieces that everyone can get into. You don't even have to be a metalhead. You don't have to be into aggressive music to have an appreciation for this record. It is just that good. Not every metal band, most metal bands can't do that, and Metallica did it in '86, and they've done it once or twice since then as well, and once or twice before that as well. So that is why they are one of the biggest in the world, if not the biggest in the world. So go listen to the entire album for Master of Puppets. Gaming and Tech, there was no quickie news here, but we do have Gaming and Tech suggestions. And the suggestion this week for Gaming and Tech until we get back is Master Chief Collection. We're just going to say kind of Halo in general, but Master Chief Collection so you can get those good vibes and maybe let Infinite figure out its store situation. But Master Chief Collection, even with its flaws in the story modes, the campaign modes, is still solid. The multiplayer is still jumping. This is definitely a game still worth your time for multiplayer action in 2022. Go play some Master Chief Collection on Xbox and, you know, whatever PC platform they have it released through. Comic books and books, a similar situation. There are a couple of things that are ongoing that we will be bringing back, we'll be catching up on when I get back, I guess I should say, but nothing that was worthy of a quick news update. So that leaves comic book suggestion for the break, and that is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. This is the classic Frank Miller story. There is a sequel to it, so there, you know, you've got plenty of reading to do. This is kind of the basis for what a lot of Batman fans have in their mind for who this character is. This is the basis for why, you know, the kind of what they fall back to for their argument of why Batman doesn't use guns and so on and so forth. So if you were wondering some of the origins of some of those kind of mythological elements of the character, this is kind of the crystalline version of that. This puts it into the best light, I guess. So yeah, check out Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. All right, so TV streaming is where we have most of our follow-ups, and we have a few of them, so we're just going to jump into it. First up is kind of both follow-up and correction, because last week when we talked about The Boys, I kind of casually referenced season 4, and we were more focused on bringing in Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Jared Padalecki, and kind of glazed over the fact that there is going to be a season 4. Season 4 is 100% happening. It has been officially renewed. The viewership for season 3 is up 284%, almost 300% over season 1. So yeah, I think they're going to keep running with this one. Also, we know that filming for season 4 is already going to be happening. They start in August for season 4. So we're not going to have to wait nearly as long for the next installment of The Boys. Next, we're talking over on Disney Plus, House of Harkness. We have official start time-ish, and that is sometime in October when they're going to be headed into primary photography for this series. That's all we have, so we're moving on. Our next follow-up has to do with, of course, Stranger Things. The Duffers have assured us that they will be headed into the writer's room also next month, so August. So they'll be headed into the writer's room. They're going to be doing preliminary. It's probably going to be a little bit longer of a development period because it sounds like House of Harkness is headed into actual production, whereas Stranger Things is headed into the early stages of scripting, which means very early pre-production. All of that being said, we still aren't going to have to wait nearly as long for season 5 as we did for season 4, and we've also heard that season 5 is going to be a little shorter than season 4 because they spent a lot of time kind of re-getting to know these characters, since we did have a significant amount of time off and there was a bit of a time gap between season 3 and 4. There's not going to be much of that kind of stuff at all, it sounds like, for season 5, because we're picking up, it sounds pretty much immediately after the end of 4, which kind of flies in the face of one of the rumors that I don't think we actually covered here on the channel because it didn't seem to hold much water to me, but there was a rumor floating around that there was going to be a bigger time jump between season 4 and season 5, but that was obviously long before we saw the end of season 4, and there's no feasible way we could have any sort of significant time jump between season 4 and 5, so we're it's going to be back to us very, very soon by comparison to the last season. That's all we've got on that one, though. Next is a real quick follow-up for the Winchesters series. It is going to begin airing this October. We kind of knew that already. That was the assumption anyway. Now we have an official date. October 11th is going to be episode 1 of the first season of the supernatural prequel show called The Winchesters that honestly I don't think is going to do super well, but I mean, that's just me, and I'm a little biased because Supernatural was one of my favorite TV shows for a long time, and sounds like they're going to be messing with the canon, but, you know, whatever. Next is a really fun one. Joe Bob Briggs, the last drive-in show by Joe Bob Briggs on Shudder has been renewed for a 5th season, which is obviously no surprise there either, because honestly, he's a large part of the reason why Shudder has the numbers they do. He, for all intents and purposes, shut down the Shudder and IFC and AMC servers when he aired his first episode for the last drive-in show, because his show is so popular. Honestly, popular enough that I usually have it on in the background when we do our live episodes on Fridays. So that's pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about that one. Our next and final follow-up for TV streaming is American Horror Stories. Kind of flew under the radar for us for a moment, but it is back. And the first episodes for this next season, the 2nd season, remember, American Horror Stories is the anthology series where each episode stands on its own, and that is what we're talking about. July 21st, so very soon, just a couple of weeks out, is going to be the first episode of season 2. That being said, we have TV streaming suggestion for you, and this is actually, I anticipated this being good, but not quite this good. Our suggestion for this episode is a show called Night Sky on Amazon Prime, starring Sissy Spacek and J.K. Simmons. Both of those names exactly as awesome as you would expect them to be, because they're both a win. Anytime you see either of them in something, they are going to be amazing, and this is no exception. Night Sky is a mystery wrapped in science fiction, wrapped in kind of the outer range in a way. It's very confusing and very awesome, and does a good job of keep you guessing all the way through. So check out Night Sky on Amazon Prime. Movie section is a little different than the other sections because it's more than just follow-ups. We have follow-up and trailer. So our follow-up for the episode has to do with Dune Part 2. They have moved the release date for the movie, the theatrical release date for the movie, back to November 17th of next year. Seems that production is going to take just a little bit longer than anticipated, but we are still going to be getting it next year as it stands right now. That is our follow-up, and then we have a trailer to speak of. Just this morning, before I started filming, the release of the Clerks 3 trailer has been unleashed on the world, and so you can go check that out following the link in the description. And yeah, it looks better than the Mallrat, or what was the sequel we just got? Was that Mallrats? Jay and Silent Bob. Sorry, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie. The Clerks 3 movie looks better than Jay and Silent Bob. So if you are a Kevin Smith fan, it seems that he's getting a little bit more meta, but also kind of returning to a better style of filmmaking. Maybe. I'm not going to hold my breath on that necessarily, but it is going to be a lot of fun either way. Go check out the trailer. I am a bit of a Kevin Smith fan in spite of a number of things, but that is what it is. That is what we have for our primary section for movies. So let's talk about movie suggestions. We're going to go super, super old for this movie suggestion, and we're going to A Streetcar Named Desire. So I hate hate might be a little bit of a strong word, but I severely dislike old movies. Anything before 1960, probably not in my wheelhouse. Probably not something I have much of an appreciation for, just because it all feels melodramatic for me. This movie is the exception to that, because Marlon Brando is teaching an acting class in this movie. It is so stark, the difference in his performance versus everyone else in this movie. It deserves to be studied by everyone who is even slightly or remotely interested in acting or the art of filmmaking or anything like that. This movie should definitely be on your top movies to watch and study list. A Streetcar Named Desire, it is absolutely worth your time because Marlon Brando was a genius, without a doubt. So, the rumor mill. Rumor mill is largely not different than normal. So we're just gonna do the normal thing for the rumor mill. So starting things off, we have no confirmations or refutations. We also have no news sources to speak of necessarily. We do have some new rumors though. So starting things off is She-Hulk, and we kind of have a mishmash of rumors here. First up, there is a rumor saying that either Frogman or Ben Grimm are going to be making a cameo in the She-Hulk series. And so we're going to take that one as one, and then the rumor that says Ben Grimm is going to be the cameo continues to say that the actor playing Ben Grimm, aka the Human Thing, is going to be Jason Segel, which I find very interesting. So we're going to attack those two things separately. So the first one is it going to be Frogman or Ben Grimm? It is very potentially going to be either of them. I just think the stronger potential is going to be for Ben Grimm because Frogman's a little too deep cuts. So Ben Grimm, what's the likelihood that we're going to see Ben Grimm though? Probably about 65%. I feel like there is better cameos, though it is kind of interesting to think of Ben Grimm getting in legal trouble as the Thing. So if it's going to be one of those two, my money says it's Ben Grimm. And then the other side of that rumor for the Ben Grimm is Jason Segel for Ben. Really? That's Michael Chiklis was a very interesting choice, but at least he had like some sort of physicality that reminded you of Ben Grimm, but Segel, not really at all. And if they're going to be casting Segel in this role, then how is he going to continue through a movie series, being as he's a little he's not super old, he's not Hugh Jackman old necessarily, and I know I'm speaking poorly of the elderly, but and elderly is probably not the best word, but I just feel like he's a little too old for this role, considering they're trying to cast people who are going to be in a few movies going forward, and it's going to take a number of years to do that. He's going to be in his 50s by the time they get to the final movie on his contract. That seems a little off. So there's just no real logic behind this casting rumor. So I can't really give it much. I'm going to say 50% just because it's a fairly strong source. I just don't agree with the source. It doesn't, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't mesh there. So that's what we have for She-Hulk. Our next series on the chopping block is X-Men. So we have a number of rumors around the X-Men, and two of which kind of surrounding Taron Egerton. The actor Taron Egerton has reportedly been in meetings with Marvel. So that's the first rumor. The second rumor is those meetings are so that he can play Wolverine. So I do not doubt that he has had some sort of meetings with Marvel. I would imagine at this point most up-and-coming and relatively new big names have had some sort of meeting with Marvel because Marvel is just that big these days. That being said, I can't necessarily get behind the idea that he would be Wolverine. I mean, it is possible. He does kind of have some of those physical traits, and he has been fan cast. We've talked about that previously as the role, but I think it's less likely he'll be Wolverine and more likely he'll be a different mutant. I don't know who exactly, but everyone wants him to be Wolverine, so that's why the rumor says, oh, he's going to be Wolverine. That being said, the likelihood that he has met with Marvel, I'm putting at about 70%, because like I said, I would be very surprised if anyone who has any sort of name recognition hasn't had some sort of meeting with Marvel at this point. And then the other half of that, Wolverine. Honestly, this is 50. This is 50%, because technically speaking, this is rumor based on rumor, so that's as high as we can go. And it's only a gut feeling that I'm going on for this one. I can't necessarily back up my logic behind why I don't think he's going to be Wolverine. I just don't think he's going to be Wolverine. So 50% there for the rumor based on rumor. Next is Loki Season 2. Of course, we're finally getting rumors around this one. Loki's gonna break the multiverse again, I'm sure. That's not the rumor. That's not the rumor. The rumor for this is that we're going to see the Squadron Supreme. Actually, I'm choosing to break this one into two separate rumors as well, because I think whoever the leaker or whatever source the source has, I think they might be misinterpreting some of the information that they're getting. So it seems that Squadron Supreme is going to be somewhere in Loki Season 2. The rumor does elaborate and say that they are going to be the antagonists for Loki Season 2, but that doesn't necessarily hold a lot of truth to it, necessarily. I do realize that they are, what Earth are they from? 31916. And they're supposed to be the Marvel version of the Justice League, right? Or they're the JLA. I think that it's more likely that they are going to have a cameo, that Marvel is going to take some sort of jab at the Justice League. I don't think that they're going to be the antagonist. And those are the two different ways we're going to break this rumor down. So first, are we going to see the Squadron Supreme in Loki Season 2? I'm going to say 70% likely that we will see them. There will be some sort of reference, at the very least, probably a brief cameo from the Squadron Supreme, because, again, multiverse and Loki. But will they be the antagonists? No, I think they're going to beat the drum of Kang the Conqueror pretty hard in Season 2. So Kang is more likely to be your primary antagonist, and Squadron Supreme is just going to be maybe even a running gag at the best, but nothing more than that. So 50% likely that they're going to be the antagonist. Sorry, we kind of buried that part. And then our next rumor has to do with the Echo series. Echo is reportedly going to be the way that they set up the return for Jessica Jones. The original Netflix cast seems to be on board, assuming the rumor is to be believed. We do know that Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be reprising his role as Kingpin in the Echo series, which totally makes sense. We've already seen him reprise that role in the Disney universe, slightly padded, but still Vincent D'Onofrio. So likelihood that they're going to be setting up Jessica Jones, I wrote it down as 65%. I honestly am going to bump it up just because we've gone kind of going through it in my mind a little bit while we're recording. Seems more likely that it's going to be about 70% likely that we set up Jessica Jones to some degree. I still think it's going to be a little while before we see Jessica Jones, because I think they're still figuring out exactly how the more mature rated IPs really work in the MCU. So it's going to be a second longer, but yeah, I think they're going to set it up. There's a pretty strong likelihood that that's going to be the case. So again, 70% likelihood we will see a setup for the Jessica Jones reboot series in Disney+. And that's what we've got, nerds. There is a bunch more nerd news and rumors. If you need to whet your appetite, and the shorts and things that are going, and reactions and such that are going to be posted to the channel are not enough, there are older episodes of the news. You can go check them out. If you're on the YouTube, then there should be a button appearing to the side of my face. You can go check out things that are happening here on the channel that will be happening more frequently, hopefully very soon. All of that stuff. Thank you very much, nerds. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already on whichever platform you are currently listening to or watching this episode, and let whatever algorithm gods know you like it by liking, thumbs up, whatever, and we will see you when I return from my vacation, and kind of somehow in between as well. But thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.